Good morning, kindness crew. Have you ever been in a difficult season and someone told you to look on the bright side? And you thought, I'd love to show you the bright side of the next exit. Because sometimes there's no easy bright side. Sometimes the loss is real, the fear is real, the disappointment is real, the injustice is real, and the room is dark. And pretending otherwise doesn't make us hopeful, it just makes us dishonest. But maybe the question is not, how do I pretend the darkness isn't here? Maybe the question is, what can still be found here that the darkness cannot take away? Today, we are looking for light in the hidden room. Welcome to Kindness Rising. Come on in, say hello. Jess is here. Good morning, Jess. I hope you are well today. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy Wednesday to everyone in our Kindness Nation. All right. We're in the final week of the Without a Net journey for sure, and our theme is Believe Bigger. On Monday, we talked about acting as if, moving before the confidence fully arrives. Yesterday, we talked about becoming, refusing to treat our current season as our permanent identity. And today we go somewhere deeper because growth doesn't always happen in bright open spaces. Sometimes we become in rooms we did not choose. Good morning, Sully. Welcome in, buddy. Today we're talking about the finding light in the dark spaces, in grief, uncertainty, maybe illness or disappointment, loneliness, fear. Sometimes it feels like life is narrowing around us and the options we have are just disappearing. The future becomes difficult to imagine. And inspiration has to become something much more than motivation. It has to become meaning. Robert Hunter wrote, "Inspiration moved me brightly." That certainly is easy to understand when the sun is shining. But what happens when the room itself is dark? Can inspiration still move us? Can meaning still survive? Today's lesson is called A Light in the Hidden Room. But first, it's time to meet our Who in the World. Welcome to Kindness Rising. So happy to see you. William Dubs. Dubs is here. Dubs, thank you so much for joining. Hey, Dubs, I was going to tell you this later today, but I'll tell you now since you're here. I listened to some of that Springsteen you recommended. Yep. The new it was a live performance from Manchester, England, of the Land of the Free, or whatever he's calling his current tour. Definitely some amazing messages in there. I appreciate you, Dubs. Thanks for turning me on. Good morning, Roseanne. Mother, happy day to you. Mom, you know today's a special day in this family. But you're still here and I'm still here. And then we'll get on with that other stuff. Sully got burnt by an iron. Oof. Little speed bump. I'm glad you didn't get a bad burn. All right. Let's get into our Who in the World. Clue number one for you. Every day we highlight a person, celebrity, someone who might be known to you as aligned with our topic and illustrative of what we're talking about. So, today we're going back to the beginning of the 20th century, born in 1901 and grew up in severe poverty in one of the toughest neighborhoods in New Orleans. That is our first clue in our Who in the World today. 3 clues throughout the episode to get you started and thinking about the person we're talking to. Born in 1901 and grew up in severe poverty in New Orleans. All right. Well, usually we do the spotlight, but we're going to jump into something else. Sorry. Usually we do our spotlight. We do have a spotlight coming up, but I want to set the tone with our wait. That happened today. William Dubs is in with a guess. Yesterday, Dubs. Yesterday, we're going to talk about, here's our wait that happened yesterday. Speaking a little too cheerfully, giving the topic, but that's okay. I'll change my tone as I go here. It actually marked the anniversary of one of the most painful moments in a personal history that we probably all know, or at least know of. August 4th, 1944, authorities entered the building at 263 Prinsengracht in Amsterdam. And behind a movable bookcase, they discovered the hidden rooms where a little girl named Anne Frank, her family, and 4 other people had been living for more than 2 years. 2 years! What is that, 700 and something days? Careful movement, whispers, fear of being heard, the inability to step outside, and the constant awareness that discovery could mean their death. And still inside those rooms, ordinary life continued. People argued, they worried, they learned, they became frustrated, marked birthdays, followed the war. And Anne, she wrote about her fear, her family, the person she was becoming in the big world outside. She wrote because writing gave shape to what she was experiencing. And after her arrest, after the arrests of these people, a woman named Mip Geis found Anne's diaries and papers, and she preserved them. She didn't read them at the time. She just kept them in hope that Anne would return. Anne didn't return, and Mip could not save Anne's life, but she preserved the pages that allowed Anne's voice to survive. And that distinction matters. The diary doesn't make what happened less tragic. It certainly doesn't redeem the Holocaust. It does not transform suffering into a tidy, inspirational story. Some losses are too large for that, but the diary insists on something. That Anne Frank was here. She thought, she questioned, she loved, she became angry. She dreamed, and she mattered. The people who murdered her did not get to erase every trace of her inner life. A living voice remained in the pages. And yes, that happened today. Welcome to another cheerful morning here at Kindness Rising. No, I think it's important for us to experience and see it and think about it all. And you can't think of a darker, more hidden room for light to shine through than that space behind the bookcase in the little door. I actually had a chance to climb through that door, which was one of the most surreal and amazing experiences of my life. The house where the Franks were hidden is now a museum in Amsterdam. And in 1998, my buddy and I paid the admission and climbed through the door, and it was definitely a moving and impactful experience to imagine that life. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about our spotlight, though, because I was setting it all up. I don't know. Although it didn't really work the way I wanted it to. Okay, that's fine. That's what we do here on Kindness Rising. We roll with the punches. Dubs, do you know the Anne? You don't know the Anne Frank story? You know about Louis Armstrong or Jelly Roll Morton? No, that was Sully guessing Jelly Roll Morton. But you don't know the story of Anne Frank? Yes, Anne Frank's family, a family in. Yeah, your parent. Okay, Sully, got it. Yeah, the entire family was brought to concentration camps, and some survived and some didn't, unfortunately, and did not make it. But it's a moving and important story. If you read the book, if you watch films, watch the movie. If you don't know it, I promise you. Correct, Dubs. Yes, these were Jews who were hiding in Jerry Ginger. Yes, the Franks. We're talking about Anne Frank. Yep. We'll talk more about it actually coming up in our research corner. It's all connected. Not so much our spotlight. I had 2 different spotlights in mind and I brought up the wrong one, but we're going to do it anyway because it's an awesome one. Let's change the mood a little bit. A little bit of hope in the darkness. Today's spotlight, it belongs to an organization that brings light into rooms that most people would avoid. Definitely. Here they are. Did it go? No, it didn't go. Okay. All right, Maddie. Musicians on call. Someone probably recognizes that musician, I'm sure, out there. The Musicians on Call brings live and recorded music to the bedsides of patients, families, and caregivers in healthcare environments. Think about what a hospital room can become, a place of waiting, uncertainty, pain, and fear. A place where the outside world continues moving while your own life suddenly feels very small. The room may be filled with monitors, medication, difficult conversations, and questions that no one can fully answer. Then someone arrives carrying a guitar, a violin, or a simple song. Sure, the musician can't change the diagnosis, and they can't promise the outcome. But for a few minutes, the room becomes something else. A concert hall, a memory, a place where someone sings along. A person with a favorite song, a history, a sense of humor, a life larger than that hospital bed. And that's the connection to today's lesson. Meaning doesn't always arrive as an explanation. Sometimes it arrives simply as a presence. A song shared between strangers, a familiar melody that reminds someone who they were before the illness and who they still are inside. And musicians on call, they understand that music doesn't have to solve the whole situation to change the moment. It only has to reach that one person inside the room. So today we shine the spotlight on Musicians on Call and on every volunteer musician willing to walk into a difficult room without an answer, carrying only a song, because sometimes hidden light sounds like music coming from the hallway. Look at the list. Look at the names on this list. There's not a human being on earth, I think, that doesn't know at least a half a dozen of these names. Holy moly. There they are. All right. There's Bruce, Dubs. Bruce is part of it. Some unbelievable. Yeah, like... Every time I look at the list, I see a different band. I'm like, oh, cool. You guys like Judah and the Lion? I see Judah and the Lion up there. Yeah. Seal, Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys. I'm just naming a few, the ones that catch my eyes. I mean, it's unreal. The list goes on and on. All right. I do think that the music and creative community is one of the most caring and giving communities in the world. Absolutely. And it's shown. It's shown through stuff like this, through musicians who care. Yes, Trey from Fish. I don't know. Is he on there? Is Fish on there or Trey? I didn't see the name. Surprised it's not. Elvis Costello. I had a dream that Elvis Costello died. Strange, right? All right. Let's go back to our Who in the World now. We're having fun today. It is a big day. I mentioned it. I referenced it today. I talked about my Keller Williams story, August 5th, 2023, 3 years ago. That was my kid's 18th birthday, and today is the big 2-1. All right, but let's get to our Who in the World. We remember that we talked about the fact that this gentleman was born in 1901 and grew up in severe poverty in the toughest neighborhoods of New Orleans. And I think our newest member of the of our crew here, the kindness crew, Dubs, might be coming in with knowing answers before everybody else. But we'll still talk about this guy because it's something I learned about him. He actually received his musical instruction at a juvenile home for boys and was set there for firing a gun up into the air during a New Year's celebration. Yep. All right. So there you go. This guy was born in 1901 in New Orleans and was sent to juvie and learned music there. That is true. It really is true. All right, let's get something going here. Let's do this one today. Oh, no, not that one. That's not the one. I'm going back to this. Remember this? This is Sunrise on Hate. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the research and some of this actual information behind this. A book that I read off of my mother's bookshelf. Mom, I'm sure you're listening. You're probably looking at that book in the pile of books that fell the other day. But we're talking about a guy named Viktor Frankl. Does anyone know who Viktor Frankl? Viktor Frankl was an Austrian psychiatrist and a Holocaust survivor. And after the war, he wrote a really important book called Man's Search for Meaning. Amazing. A relatively easy, quick read, and I highly recommend it to every human being to read this book. The first half is, I can't remember if it's built in two halves. I can't remember which is first or which is second, but it's his story of surviving the Holocaust and then some real information behind it. Absolutely. All right. Sorry, I got excited about so much chat happening. Keep going in the chat, and I'll keep talking about Viktor Frankl. It became one of the most influential books ever written about the human's capacity to endure suffering. Frankl's message is often simplified. He wasn't saying suffering is good. He was not saying everything happens for a reason, and he wasn't saying pain disappears if you think positively enough. He was making a slightly more careful claim. Human beings can remain oriented toward meaning even when their external circumstances and choices have been taken away and circumstances have been impacted. Human beings can remain oriented toward meaning even when many of their external choices have been taken away. That's what I was trying to say. Meaning can come through someone we love, work still worth doing, a responsibility we carry, beauty we notice, or a truth we preserve. A response we choose when circumstances can't be immediately changed. Meaning doesn't always answer the question, why did this happen? Sometimes there's no satisfying answer to that question, honestly. Meaning may answer a different question, though. What is still mine to do? Mine to protect? Mine to create? What kind of a person will I be willing to be while this is happening? And that's an important distinction. Meaning is not an explanation for suffering. It's a reason to keep responding to life while suffering is present. Let me say it again. Meaning is not an explanation for suffering. It is a reason to keep responding to life when suffering is present. And that matters in leadership too. When people are hurting, leaders often rush right towards reassurance. Everything happens for a reason. Stay positive. It could be worse. You'll get over it. Sometimes those phrases, though, are just not comforting. They're exits. They allow us to escape the discomfort of sitting beside another person's pain. A psychologically safer response sounds different. It sounds like, I'm not going to pretend this is easy. I may not have the answer, but you don't have to carry it alone. And when we will keep looking for what matters next. Meaning can't be assigned to another person. You can't tell someone what their suffering should mean. But you can create enough safety for them to search for meaning without having to perform recovery for your comfort. That is a very difficult kind of support. Viktor Frankl writing about man's search for meaning. Yes. All right. We're going to keep rocking and rolling here on Kindness Rising, your morning dose of hope, humanity, and heart. More high fives for humanity and less rage bait. That is why we are here. And I'm so glad the people who come here every day. Roseanne, of course, my mother, and Sully, and Dubs, and Jess, and Jerry, all in the house. And as others come and join us, I love the way this community welcomes new people. Dubs and I have been hanging outside of the morning chat a little bit once in a while. A deadhead and a really knowledgeable person, particularly about music. I've been learning a lot from Dubs, so thank you. I appreciate our connection. All right. We're coming off a hate street and we're going to roll into something else. Should we get a little groovy and psychedelic for this segment? Why not? All right. Again, those who've stuck around know this theme from a while ago. It is Jerry Week. It is. We talked about it earlier this week. It is the days between. August 5th is one of our days between. Certainly, we're celebrating it. Absolutely. All right. So this is now comes the part about me. It's all about me, people. You know that. That when I come here every day, I just want it to be all about me. Give me some attention. No, seriously, there is a strange thing about showing up live every morning. People do see this light, the camera that's on, the music and the jokes and whatever, and that half hour is done. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the room, the uncertainty, questions, disappointments, moments when I'm not sure whether any of this is really working. The days when creating something hopeful doesn't mean I personally feel hopeful. The days when I turn on the camera while still carrying something I haven't completely figured out. And sometimes imagine that people create because they've arrived. People imagine that other people create because they've arrived at clarity. That's what I'm trying to say. That somehow we've conquered struggle or discovered the answer, and we step forward. I'm stepping forward to explain life to all of you. I got it all figured out. Yep. Nope. Actually, it's just the opposite. I started creating because things weren't clear, and I needed a place to carry them. Kindness Rising didn't begin because I solved kindness, and Without a Net didn't begin because I had conquered fear and know everything about groups and teams. I didn't turn on the camera because I'd finally figured out exactly who I was. I turned it on because I was still trying to understand. Creating didn't erase the uncertainty. It gave the uncertainty somewhere to go for me, a story, these conversations, the songs, the questions. That's the meaning. Not a grand explanation or a perfect answer, but a place to carry what is real. And all of us have that hidden room, maybe not literally in an attic behind a bookcase, an internal room, a place where we keep things public. Where our public life doesn't always see. We keep things private, and our public life doesn't always see. The grief no one asks about us anymore, the fear we don't want to burden anybody else with. Maybe it's a dream we haven't announced because we're afraid someone will laugh at us. The part of us that's still trying to understand what happened. We may laugh, we may work, we may lead and perform. We may make breakfast, answer emails, and go to meetings, all the completed everyday normal tasks that life expects of us, and yet we still carry that hidden room. It doesn't make us dishonest, it just makes us human. The danger, though, is not having a room. Right? Deciding that if the room is dark, nothing meaningful can happen there. But a dark room can still hold a living voice. The voice that says, I'm still here. I still care. I still have someone to love. I still have truths to tell. But pain does not get exclusive ownership of the room. There's memory, humor, music, faith, connection. A sentence written on every page, just like Anne Frank did. Sometimes it means creating from inside uncertainty. It means saying, this is what I know today and what I'm trying to understand, what remains meaningful to me, and maybe that's enough. We're often encouraged to find the lesson in every difficult experience, and I'm not sure every experience arrives with a lesson. Some things are just painful, some things remain unfair, and some losses don't improve with clever interpretation. But even when we can't find the lesson, we still can find a response to preserve the page, to create something honest, to show up again tomorrow. The darkness is real, but it's not the only thing present. A dark room still holds a living voice. Yes, that's Without a Net today. As we jammed psychedelically, I don't know. I just went with that. That's a song I created called Psychedelic. Pretty cool. All right. Thank you, Jess, for making this part of your morning routine. And thank you, Dubs, for getting started here with us. Yep. We are here. It is hard to find positive content, and that's why I'm here, Jess. Thank you so much for acknowledging that. I'm trying to be positive, even in the times when I'm not necessarily feeling positive. It actually helps me to become positive by being positive, acting as if. Let's get back to our clues, though. Time is flying by here. Holy moly. All right, clue number one. He was born in 1901 and grew up in New Orleans. We knew this. We're learning that he received his musical instruction at a juvenile home and fired a gun up into the air that sent him there. And Dubs knows this one. Satchmo's unmistakable trumpet sound and gravelly voice carried joy around the world. What I want to know, Dubs, is how did you know from that first clue? 1901 in New Orleans? What? Okay. Good for you. Good for you. I'm glad you know who we're talking about. His unmistakable voice. We'll talk about him again in a minute, right after our compass. Here's today's kindness compass. Think about one difficult circumstance in your life that you cannot immediately change. Not the one with the easiest answers, the one that is simply present. Now, instead of asking only why is this happening, try asking what is still mine to protect, create, learn, or offer here? What still matters? Who still needs me? What response remains available? You don't have to find meaning in everything today, and you don't have to explain the whole experience. Just find one meaningful thing you can do next. One call, one page. One page? Yeah, write a page. That's what I was thinking about when I wrote one page. I wasn't thinking about pagers. One page. One honest conversation. One act of care. One decision not to surrender your voice. Today is the day to find meaning. That is today's kindness compass. All right. We'll keep flying through here. Yep, Satchmo. Satchmo was the answer. Dubs, I gotta know. How did you know from only the poverty time period, NOLA and poverty? Okay, you just know about them. I knew that yeah. Oh, and I listened to the entire Tumbleweed Connection album yesterday too, Dubs, which you reminded me to do. I've heard it before, but I listened through, including the special edition BBC with Amarina, Elton John. All right. I love our little chats about music. Yep, Satchmo was the person, Louis Armstrong, who grew up in poverty, instability, and hardship. Yep, and received his musical instruction after getting sent off to the Colored Waifs Home for Boys. Listen to that again. Colored Waifs Home for Boys. Holy moly. The institution didn't erase the hardship of his childhood. Music did not magically make everything inside. It make everything easy, but inside his difficult place, Louis Armstrong found discipline, direction, and expression in his voice. He helped to transform jazz with his trumpet playing, changing the possibilities of American music. Yep, his singing voice, one of the most recognizable sounds in the world. The difficult room did not contain his whole story, and that is the connection. The lesson is that a person can discover something meaningful in a place other people might only see as a limitation. But Louis Armstrong found music in the Colored Waifs Home for Boys. Oh my goodness. And then he carried it far beyond the walls where he first learned to play. And we're still listening to What a Wonderful World and all his stuff. Mom, I know. He might be playing on your Amazon device right now. Would not be surprised to hear this. But here's something surprising that I learned. Dubs, did you know? Yes, you probably do, because apparently you seem to know a lot, and I love that. Oh, his theme song wasn't What a Wonderful World? No, I don't know what his theme song was. But here's something that I did learn about him. Did you know that he spoke Satchmo's theme song? No, I don't know what his theme song was. But I do know that he learned to speak fluent conversational Yiddish. Louis Armstrong, full conversational Yiddish. He grew up or spent time with a Jewish family. I don't know if his family was working. I can't remember the exact story. But you don't think of Louis Armstrong as being fully speaking Yiddish, and I thought that connected well with Anne Frank, too. Yep, and Viktor Frankl. Get it? You get the thread? Yep, that's what we're going to do. We are going to weave the thread here as we wind down on another amazing day here on Kindness Rising. Thank you, each and every one of you, for coming and spending time with me. I know that it is a mutual experience of positivity in getting the day started right. Absolutely. Here's our thread. We'll weave it together. Robert Hunter, he wrote it. Inspiration moved me brightly. Brightness is easy to recognize in sunlight, but it's harder to recognize in a hidden room. Sometimes brightness is not happiness. Sometimes it's a sentence written in a diary, a song learned in an institution, a page preserved by a friend, or a person deciding that pain will not erase their ability to notice, create, or care. The darkness is real, but we don't have to minimize it, explain it away, just call it good. A dark room can still hold a living voice, a reason, a responsibility, a choice, and a light. So when the answer disappears, look for what's meaningful. When you can't change the whole circumstance, choose the next human response. That's it. Inspiration, move me brightly. We're finishing up here on Kindness Rising, getting over to Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends at 8 o'clock today. And today is Wednesday. Don't forget, it starts with joy. Cheryl Raphael Whitaker on YouTube. It starts with joy, 8:30 a.m. today. I will be back here to 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning for a little bit more high fives for humanity. Until then, stay uncommon and stay kind.